It only took 3 weeks for the silly nonsense to cloud the Minnesota Vikings decision at quarterback, and we really need to refocus. This video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you use the code ATOZ, and upon sign up with your first $5 play, you'll receive $50 in bonus credits. Minnesota Vikings are in an interesting spot when it comes to the quarterback position. J.J. McCarthy is currently missing time with a high ankle sprain, and he's projected to be out 2 to 4 weeks. He will miss Sunday's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but is on the overseas Europe trip and could potentially play against the Cleveland Browns in Week 5, with a Week 6 bye also being in there. So a Week 7 return against the Philadelphia Eagles would be 5 weeks separating him and the injury, and that might be the best case scenario for the team. Where things get really interesting is this groundswell among beat reporters and fans that maybe Carson Wentz should just keep the job. So let's kind of think about it. Why should Carson Wentz keep the job? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? Now, if Carson Wentz was playing like Sam Darnold, then okay, I think we can have that conversation. But what did Carson Wentz exactly do against the Cincinnati Bengals? He led a capable offense, 70% completions, about 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, but a QBR of 34.9, a passer rating of 128. But that QBR is a little more indicative of what he was actually doing. Why? Because the QBR is all encompassing and looks at how you are doing in certain situations and what you did. And quite frankly, passer rating isn't that in depth. Now, QBR is still just a piece of the puzzle, but when you watch the film, he was a little indecisive. He wasn't really willing to attack downfield nearly as much as Kevin O'Connell would like. And he operated the offense at a baseline level. He operated it like a backup quarterback. Is that really what we want to prioritize? Now, you'll hear people say, oh, but there are veterans in the room and they need to win. Sure. But if J.J. McCarthy can potentially give you more than that this season, isn't it worth maybe a couple more games of it being a little bit bumpy? That's where things don't make a lot of sense. You're talking about telling a team that Carson Wentz is your best option at quarterback. What does that say about your young guy? It's like, the conversation's going to be like, he'll be fine in the future. Well, you decided all offseason that this was your guy. You were going to rock with him. And now all of a sudden you're going to change to Carson Wentz? That doesn't make sense. Wentz has been in the building for 3 weeks. And now all of a sudden he's your best option at quarterback? Once McCarthy is healthy, he's absolutely not. I want to read you this quote from Kevin O'Connell from Monday's press conference. And you can be the judge, because he was asked if they were 100% committed to J.J. McCarthy returning once he's healthy. And I think this is a really, really pivotal quote. I think, first and foremost, he's got to get healthy. And then throughout that process, I don't think it's one of those things where it's, hey, the day he's healthy, and if he's healthy the night before a game, we're going to just throw him out there and say, hey, go figure it out type of thing. I think we saw, as phenomenal as he was getting prepared for the Atlanta game, he did miss practice that week. And when you're in the face of building up the 10,000 reps and 10,000 hours of what it takes to play the position at a very high level, which we know J.J. McCarthy is going to do, you can't cut corners on that. And that also doesn't require an answer on that question today. Many people led to believe that it was about, hey, we are actually seriously considering starting Carson Wentz long term. No, what that is if he's not ready to do a full week of practice and really be prepared, considering he's a young player, we're not going to put him out there. It's amazing how some people are reading this completely wrong. They want to make sure McCarthy is in the right positions to succeed. They don't want to put him in a position to fail, which is smart because he's a young player. This isn't about starting Wentz over McCarthy long-term. It's about making sure that McCarthy is 100% in all aspects before he returns to the field. That's just doing good business. If that means he has to wait an extra week to return, that's okay. But that doesn't mean Wentz, who was a baseline backup level player, is going to get the job full time. We really need to pump the brakes. I know backup quarterbacks have a really positive history in Minnesota, but now we're just reaching. JJ's the guy. They've told you that, and they continue to tell you that. I'm Tyler Forness with ATOZ Sports. Skol Vikings.